Hello, I'm Babla Jonathan, and this is the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories, the Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church in Cameroon, Samuel Kleda, says it was impossible for the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, to record such a landslide victory in the crisis-stricken northwest and southwest regions of the country at the October 7, 2018 presidential election. And he equally told the press today in the city of Douala that it was wrong for the Constitutional Council to reject all the petitions filed by political parties and their presidential candidates without proper examination. And the Social Democratic Front SDF political party blames the poor atmosphere in the northwest and southwest regions of the country and the fact that many did not vote. That is, it is blaming these aspects for its poor result in the last presidential election in the country, adding to that fraud and of course other election malpractices. Those were top stories. The Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church in Cameroon, His Lordship Samuel Kleda, has said it was practically impossible for the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, to get such a landslide victory in the two Anglophone regions of the country, the northwest and the southwest regions, because of the prevailing unstable and uncertain socio-political and security atmosphere reigning in those two regions, hit by socio-political and security crises for close to 3 years. Today, the Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese spoke to the press today in the nation's economic capital, Douala, and he said that the prevailing atmosphere in the two regions could not favor such a landslide victory. Samuel Kleda equally said that it was wrong for the Constitutional Council to reject all the petitions filed by political parties and the presidential candidates of the opposition without proper examination. Mimi Mefo reports.
On voit aujourd'hui que ces gens ont voté pour ceux qui les dirigent actuellement 89%. Il dit ça me pose sérieusement problème.
Archbishop Samuel Kleda of the Metropolitan Archdiocese in Douala has said that he is not convinced that up to 89% of the population in the far north region voted for the CPDM candidate Paul Biya.
L'extrême nord est aujourd'hui la région la moins développée au Cameroun.
The far north region, according to Archbishop Samuel Kleda, is one of the less developed and poorest localities in Cameroon today, and that a people in this condition cannot opt to be governed by the same system.
Alors, quand on voit aujourd'hui que ces gens ont voté pour ceux qui les dirigent actuellement 89%, il dit ça me pose sérieusement problème.
The president of the National Episcopal Conference cast doubts over Paul Biya's victory in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions.
La zone anglophone, où aussi les résultats du parti au pouvoir, les pourcentages sont très élevés.
According to His Lordship Samuel Kleda, the figures of voters advanced are questionable, given that majority of the population is displaced in other parts of Cameroon or out of the country.
Au moment où on n'a pas pu faire campagne là-bas, parce que les gens, nous connaissons la situation de la crise, alors tous ces gens, ce pourcentage, je me pose la question, viennent d'où?
According to Archbishop Samuel Kleda, the petitions regarding the northwest and the southwest regions filed by opposition party candidates were founded and had to be given due attention by the Constitutional Council and not outrightly rejected.
Un slogan, l'expression rejetée, irrécevable, je crois que c'est irrécevable. Mais ce n'est que ça. Normalement, on devrait en tenir compte. Parce que les arguments présentés sont quand même des arguments fondés.
He said that Cameroon is a country with a rule of law and that the laws must be respected by the institutions in place. The general conduct of the election, according to Archbishop Samuel Kleda, was not hitch-free.
En particulier, je vois dans les pays, n'est-ce pas, de l'Afrique, les pays de l'Afrique centrale. Parce que on a l'impression qu'avant d'aller aux élections, on connaît déjà le résultat.
He said that the results of election in Central African countries are always known before voters go to the polls, and that Cameroon is not an exception.
And some inhabitants of Lum in the Mungo division of the littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon are sharing the opinion of the Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church, His Lordship Samuel Kleda, they say that the result of the October 7, 2018 presidential election do not reflect the expectations of the people. However, CPDM supporters, militants and sympathizers in that part of the country do not share that opinion. They took to the streets to celebrate the victory of the champion shortly after the proclamation of results of the election by the Constitutional Council. Mimi for once more has the details.
Seated in bars and glued to their TV sets, this is how some residents in Lum of the Mongo division witnessed the official proclamation of results of the 2018 presidential election in Cameroon. When the figures were read and the winner announced, the people were unmoved. Others said that they did not expect anything different from what prevailed during hearing of post-electoral disputes at the Constitutional Council.
Alors la population est déçue.
Nkahak Jean-Pierre is mayor of the Penja Council. He explains that the election outcome was a disappointment, given that the people were expecting a transparent result this time. Cameroon cannot be talking about democracy when the Constitutional Council decided to throw all the petitions filed by the opposition parties, the SDF mayor added. On the streets of Lum, people are going about their activities normally.
Nous sommes dirigés par des gens que nous ne voulons pas.
The mayor qualifies their attitude as total rejection of the re-elected government.
Parce que ça ne reflète pas la réalité, ça ne reflète pas les résultats des jeunes.
In this part of Njombe, there was jubilation.
Nous souhaitons vraiment que le président mette la main sur ce dossier, qu'il essaie de faire un tour, voir ses enfants causer avec cette famille, pour mettre un terme à ça. Les gens en souffrent beaucoup là-bas.
Some CPDM party supporters urge the president-elect to address the Anglophone crisis, which, according to them, is already affecting their community.
There was equally celebration within the ranks of the CPDM political party in the Southwest Regional Chieftain Boya shortly after the proclamation of results by the Constitutional Council. Mayor Kema Patrick Esunge led some militants and officials of the CPDM political party in Boya to celebrate the victory of their champion after the Constitutional Council proclaimed that President Paul Biya got more than 71% of the vote, followed by Professor Maurice Kamto of the CRM political party with a little above 14%, and then Cabral Libi and O.C. Joshua the fourth position. Our reporter in the Southwest Regional Capital, Boya, Derek Jato, caught up with Mayor Kema Patrick Esunge, and this is what he had to say.
That let us go and vote wisely and come back after the proclamation and celebrate. You went and did exactly what we took as a commitment. Our candidate won. The rally we had was a reflection of the number of votes we had in Boya. On behalf of the population of Boya, whom I stand here to represent councillors and management staff of the council, we want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of our hearts for standing with us, standing in support of the party, and standing in support of the candidate we had in the party, President Paul Biya. We have a lot of trust in him. We have a lot of trust in you, and we manifested that on the 7th of October. It would have been unwise, as some losers decried foul, to say elections should be cancelled when you actually voted rightly. In Latin, they say, son vanda respecta. Promise made must be respected. All of us took the pains to march along the streets of Huya to encourage the feeble-minded people who have not taken a decision to vote, to ensure them that there is peace and people can move around to go and vote. Really? That was the essence of that march. Yeah. And it has paid us, it has given us a lot of dividends. Yeah. We have to celebrate those dividends. Everybody who participated must have something to say thank you. Yeah.
The mayor of Boye in the southwest region of the country, Kema Patrick Esunge, speaking there while CPD militants were celebrating, there was lamentation within the ranks of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party of Nijan Fundi as the party fell from its usual second position as far as presidential elections is concerned to the fourth position. And some officials of the party speaking to us today here in Douala attributed the poor performance of the SDF at the October 7 presidential election to the crisis rocking the party's stronghold of the northwest and southwest regions of the country, rigging and of course other election malpractices. Details in the following report. The fall of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party from its usual first or second position to the fourth position is one of the unusual outcomes of presidential elections recorded in Cameroon since October 12, 1992, when the first multi-party presidential election in the country took place. But what can possibly explain this? Beyond the fact that the election was rigged, our stronghold of the northwest and southwest regions did not vote. There was no election in the northwest and southwest. If they shamefully put the voting rate in the two regions at 5 and 12%, you know that those figures are fake. The militants who were supposed to vote for the SDF did not vote, and don't forget that on the eve of the election, it was said that Honorable Nincho has joined the CRM, and it had a considerable impact. Many people, sympathizers and friends of the Honorable voted for the CRM, thinking it was true, but it wasn't. However, party officials and militants see the SDF remains the strong political power it has been since 1992 and continues moving forward to victory. The SDF has its militants who may have a certain behavior during the presidential election, but that does not mean the party is dead. The SDF is upright because we have a vision for Cameroon, and there are people who believe in us. We know that the second political power across Cameroon is the SDF. Now that we have moved backward, we have to work to win future battles. We have started mobilizing our militants at the grassroots. We have told them not to panic because it is an away leg match. So, next year, the SDF will not have the same result. I promise that we can even win all the councils in Douala. After the poor results recorded with candidate O.C. Joshua at the October 7 presidential election, John Fundi's party is now working out strategies to consolidate its opposition leadership position at the legislative and municipal elections. As far as the number of members of parliament, senators, mayors and municipal councillors that the political party has is concerned, the SDF remains second behind the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party. Carlos Gualem Salvador Camga, officials of the Social Democratic Front in the Douala 5 subdivision, and Mayor Job Teofil Kwabnang in the Douala 3 subdivision, speaking there in that report. On to something else now. We're going to be talking about the strike action of former workers of Selukam who have gone on strike demanding for 30 years of salaries unpaid to them. We have details with Franklin Mwabi.
Ex-employers of the former company Selukam have encamped at the divisional delegation of the Ministry of Work and Social Security in the Senegal Maritime Division in Adeya to decry 30 years of salary owed them. Though the head of state have ordered their wages be paid them, nothing has been done in that respect.
We have been suffering for about 30 years now, time and again writing to our ministers, our president. A call is being given, but we don't see the money. And we have been suffering and suffering. Children not going to school. And we are all going older and older. Myself, I was not in this age, but look as I am. No means of living. So we've seen that we are abandoned. So we now cry to our people that they should look eagerly into our problem.
Many of the ex-workers of the former Selukam company have long been dead. The agony of many years of hard labor but no pay leaves them weeping. The former workers who took to the streets of Adeya think they have been quiet for a very long time, as their many complaints have fallen on deaf ears.
Time and again, when we do complain, they don't consider anything. So we think that this is a rare time. We are not out for any destruction. We are not out for any riots, but we are for peace. And we want that peace should be maintained. And for this purpose, let the finance ministry take everything in hand and to give a solution for our purpose.
Moved by the protest, the divisional delegates of the Ministry of Work and Social Security in the Senegal Maritime Division promised to put an end to their problems. But when will their wages be paid is another question that begs for answers.
Inhabitants of Bojongo, a locality or neighborhood in the Douala 4 municipality, are calling on government authorities to improve on their living conditions. One of the problems affecting inhabitants of that part of the country's economic capital is the problem of bad roads. Smanjikan Gebre reports.
We are at Bojongo, a locality under the Douala 4 municipality. 10 meters away from the end of the tar into the neighborhood is a different story, as both students and cars only struggle to get into the Bojongo neighborhood.
The road is so every year and so they suffer. You will see sometimes give Okada boy, they will carry some person, or some person begin when they go to school, they can't fall for inside the water. Or some person where they won't go for work. Sometimes you see women and they can't fall for inside water.
Drivers who ply the roads describe it as a risk-bearing exercise because their engine are destroyed almost on a daily basis.
Water, and so they spoil engine for motor for ya. But they lack some engine for oil today.
Students also face difficulties getting to school on time, particularly when it rains heavily, as commercial motorcycles also refuse entering the streets.
When rainfall, the road is very bad. Also, as students, people want to arrive to school on Mondays, our uniform are dead. And also, when it rains, bikes are using to transport.
Many of the inhabitants are now questioning why the government decided to abandon the neighborhood that is blessed with several companies and schools.
For this quarter, we get big companies, we get lycée, we inside Bojongo, we get gendarmerie, we get big people that stay inside, but yet the situation of the road is very horrible. I don't know what the government is doing, I don't know what to make it.
Bojongo is not the only neighborhood under the Douala 4 Council that is suffering from the poor road network, and the inhabitants are expecting a prompt reaction from the government.
Look, as far as challenges awaiting the new but old president of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, are concerned. We have details as far as challenges awaiting President Paul Biya concerned in this report by Fomi Armstrong Sanda.
Paul Biya is not new but an old president with a new mandate at the helm of the Republic of Cameroon. The man who incarnates the force of experience is quite aware of what awaits him for the next 7 years. The Boko Haram terrorist activities in the far north region of the country, the Anglophone crisis, persistent kidnapping and highway robbery in the northern regions of the country has been a litmus test to his quest to ensure peace and stability in Cameroon. The deepening Anglophone crisis is arguably Cameroon's worst nightmare, which must be squarely faced by the new president. Experts say the crisis, if not handled with care and rigidity, will plunge Cameroon into a civil war. Over 160,000 people have been displaced and more than 500, including civilians, killed since the crisis escalated in the late 2016, according to Amnesty International and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, respectively. Paul Biya will also have the challenging task to completely eradicate Boko Haram terrorists and stop the incursion of the Central African rebels in the east region of the country. Youth unemployment syndrome, which has become a fabric of the nation Cameroon, is another trouble facing the president-elect. Statistics from Trading Economics place unemployment at 4.20% in Cameroon. Paul Biya must also be able to make a difference in the limping economy, which experts now suggest fire extinguishing measures for it to regain its feet. Since the petroleum sector is yet to pick its steam of 2017, the other shock-absorbing sectors like the CDC and Pamo Agropores are now lingering in paralysis due to the grieving conflicts in the two English-speaking regions of the country. The need for a new Cameroon, which animated debates leading to the October 7 presidential election, will also be among the hot plates of the new president. The new Cameroon will also include debates and constitutional solutions to the form of state. The old new president Paul Biya will also have the daunting task of accommodating the fresh breeds of political awareness, adorned with social media hypes exposed by the political events of 2008, tagged by many as the most active political year in Cameroon. Infrastructural development, boosting health care and ensuring quality education to all, including those in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions of the country, are among the causes to why Paul Biya must fasten his seatbelt as he drives Cameroon on a 7-year trip.
And that's it for this edition of the news. Thanks for staying with us. Goodbye.